So no, this wasn't going to be quick and painless. It was clear Iran had a point of view, which was, hey, we'll just start bombing these things. First, Trump said he didn't know about it. Then he said he did know about it. Marco Rubio said we didn't. Then we did. We were
Right.
in on it. We were helping. We weren't helping. It turned out we were in on it, I guess, if you go with the latest thing. But this is an astonishing thing
Mm-hmm.
because it meant we were in active negotiations
Right.
and
Just leading
decided
up to this.
to just bomb and kill a lot of people the night before those negotiations were supposed to actually start. So if any of you have seen Game of Thrones, you'll understand the red wedding reference, right? Where the Stark family is invited in. They're going to get married. They're going to get these two warring families finally to agree to stuff. They invite the whole other family in.
Right.
Yay, we don't have a union. We're safe. And
The
then
wine is flowing. Everybody's enjoying each other. And then
the knives come out and they killed everybody. So this to me is the red wedding approach to negotiating, such as it is. And here you can see some things on this map. They did a lot of strikes there. They hit. So those red dots are people, scientists that they specifically targeted.
Isn't that illegal?
Yes.
In the Nuremberg, the treaties that came out of that?
You would think, but they said, the existential threat is so great. What we have to do is we have to stop their nuclear capabilities. You would think you would bomb the nuclear sites. Some of those actually got bombed. Those are the yellow dots on there around Natanz. Here, let me get this.
When you say nuclear abilities, you're not talking about their ability to make a bomb. You're talking about
that's what they're saying.
That is what they're saying. Okay.
Well, ostensibly, that's the story. Is we're going to find out as we go through this today. I'm going to make the case that's not what this was.
It's not like an energy center.
No,
where they're producing electricity.
Iran wanted to have nuclear for a variety of reasons. One, research medicine is one branch, and the second would be for power. It makes imminent sense. Everybody should use nuclear for power.
Right.
It's the best thing ever.
Yep.
And we'll all figure that out again at some point. And then they took out a whole bunch of military targets and nuclear. But here's the thing. Evie. Here's what they did. So here's who they killed at a minimum.
Wow. Okay.
As a first strike. So major generals. They took out the major generals. These are the top military commanders.
Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces.
Yep.
I'm not even going to try to say most of these names. Ranki, senior physicist and nuclear scientists. Another top nuclear scientist specializing in chemical engineering. Nuclear scientist, blah, blah, blah. Wow, there are a lot.
All right. So,
okay.
So, and look, a flight attendant, a painter, they killed at least 78 people that we know about.
31 deaths on the first day.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So they say, look, it was an existential threat. We had to do it. What if tonight China said, hey, the UK with Bill Gates has decided that they're going to try and dim the sun. We consider that to be an existential threat to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's what we're going to do. We wake up the next morning and London has been bombed comprehensively, right? And climate scientists have just been targeted specifically in their homes and killed, along with any rocket scientists or anybody who could put stuff up there. We would go, wow, not how you do this. Could you talk to us first?
Right.
You don't just start by killing people, because I don't know who needs to hear this, but when you kill somebody, you tend to turn them into an enemy, not into somebody who's open to negotiations after that.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. You totally close that door.
Well, you do. And it's just,
for generations.
Unless you're completely tone deaf to speaking what we call human, right? Mm-hmm. You understand that when you kill people, you make them into enemies, they're survivors into enemies, not into compliant subjects, just how it is. So,
yeah.
At any rate,
Okay.
See this? Yeah. This is at Natanz. So this is the nuclear facilities. Here they are dropping bunker buster bombs. People are dropping, like, boom, like, here we go.
And shall we read this? What it says on the side here?
Sure.
It says Israel struck Iran's Natanz nuclear facility with bunker busters supplied by the United States. Imagine radiation levels rise, causing cancer and birth defects. This is what the West and Israel does.
Yep.
They have no right to tell anyone they can't have nukes.
To be clear, only one country has used nukes in an offensive capability. That's the United States, right? Israel is not a signatory on the non-proliferation treaty. They have anywhere from an estimate of 400 to 400 nukes, probably on the high end of that. So they already have them. They're just saying we don't want anybody around us to have them unless they already have them, like Pakistan. What are you going to do about Pakistan? They're an Islamist state, and they got a lot of nukes. So nobody says anything. North Korea already has nukes. We're like, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
But if you're on the way to getting them, they're like, no. That's when it becomes totally unacceptable. We have to demonize you and say that you're, of all the people in the world, you can't be trusted with these things because you're just cray-cray. All right. So at any rate, this is a very long, old, complicated story, but this is China. China's senior spokesperson.
We strongly condemn Israelis' attack on Iran. This is a violation of the Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And we are particularly concerned that they are attacking nuclear facilities, which is another red line that Israel has crossed.
Another red line.
I'd have to agree with him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's another red line. Not one, another. And it's a red line. So China's already involved in this too. They've been sending cargo planes over. We don't know what's on them. But they have an interest in what's unfolding here as well. But from a larger
Iran.
Can we just back up? So the larger diplomatic story here is that Trump came in and said, you have 60 days to come to the table. Like, look, we've been negotiating with Iran for decades around their nuclear ambitions, right?
Yeah, so most of my lifetime.
He says, I'll give you 60 days, right? But he didn't say, I'll give you 60 days or we're going to start killing you in your homes and bombing you as much as possible. So, but this is not how you do negotiations. This is not diplomacy. Right?
Yeah.
Plus, they thought they were coming the next day to meetings. So what do you mean you didn't come to the table?
Such a bait and switch.
It's not that you didn't come to the table. It's that you didn't come to the table fast enough.
Right.
They were already at the table.
That's bad faith right there.
Very bad faith.
That's not. Israel is not agreement capable either. I think the U.S. has shown itself to be that.
Not agreement capable, meaning you're just going to do whatever you're going to do. And of course, Putin has accused the U.S. and the West generally, and he has good reason to.
Yeah.
But so
we go back on our word, and that's what Israel just did.
Yep. All the time. Okay. So let's just go through now the FAFO. I hope everybody understands what that means, but this is what it looks like when they're inbound. Did you see all that? Look. This is what it's like in Tel Aviv at this point. That was an interception, but you see those little lines coming up. There's some rising. Oh, yeah. Now I guess we lost her. All right. So there's lots and lots coming in, and Iran has
we got here.
Don,
you're a liar. Israel has not targeted civilians. The people were given warning and time to leave Tehran.
They targeted Don, stop. Just stop. You're being a moron here. They targeted scientists. Those are civilians. These are people. They have jobs. They have families. They have dogs and cats. They get up in the morning. They go to work, Don. So stop with the lies. Just we're the whole world, Don. You need to hear this. We're all sick of the lies. Okay? If you're targeting civilians, you're targeting civilians. And that's what happened. So just own up to it. Don't try and pretend like I can't believe my own lying eyes. All right? Get out of here with that. All right. So carrying on. And by the way, Iran now has a lot of what are called both supersonic and hypersonic missiles. Okay, those are things traveling faster than sound. Hypersonic being another layer beyond supersonic, traveling past a certain level of Mach. Mach 1 being the speed of sound, Mach 2 being twice that, on up to Mach 10, 12, 13, 14, even 15 now. But this is what it looks like when, oh, there it is. Did you see that?
Holy crap, that was fast.
Let's try that again.
It's like a shooting star.
I mean, they just come in so fast. I mean, like, right. And one of the ways you can detect that that's supersonic, at least faster than the speed of sound, is you can't hear it coming because it's traveling faster than the sound.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't hear it. It sounds like, why is it not making noise? Well, that's because we're not used to things traveling supersonic.
It's
right?
True.
Planes, you hear the sound before they get to you because they're usually traveling less than.
It's like a bullet, and it has a similar thing.
Yep. Boom. Right.
Like shooting a gun.
But this was just from last night. So Iran, part of the cope we've been seeing out on the Twitter sphere is that Iran is just going to run out of missiles. They're going to run out of launchers. They're completely degraded. They're almost out. of everything. But that's the kind of trail you see right there when Elon Musk is launching something into outer space. This is a big missile. When you see that kind of a contrail on the back of that thing, and you see it's lit up. So this thing is now, even though it's the night sky, that's because it's already above the curvature of the Earth and it's receiving sunlight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why it's lit up like that. So this is a big missile. This is a big giant, can carry a whopping payload. This is an exo-atmospheric missile.
Wow.
So they dragging some of those out. That's just last night. We don't know what the damage is.
Yeah, where did that go?
Well, we don't know because Israel a couple days ago completely forbid anybody taking pictures and getting them out. Israel's locking the story down, and we all know why you lock a story down is because it's not the story you want to have told.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not a good sign when you lock down the narrative and say you can't talk about any of the damage. Now, interestingly, we had it the first night when Iran fired back. We got those first images of those fast missiles coming in, all the little starry lights coming in. We've seen fewer of those since. Maybe Iran's firing fewer. Maybe we're just not getting the pictures out. Hard to say. But we only saw pictures of the aftermath if something struck a residential house or apartment building, right? And again, there could be a couple things that happen there. Could be a missile that hits that was specifically trying to target somebody's house. Doubtful. More likely it was a missile that missed its target. Even more likely it's an errant defense missile that got shot up that came back down again, because we saw that over and over in the Ukraine war. Ukraine tried to say, oh, look, Russia is targeting these apartment complexes, which makes no military sense. And in fact, when we did dig into those, more often than not, we found those were struck by errant missiles. It's hard work, right? You're shooting missiles at missiles coming in and they miss, and then they come down again. It's like when you shoot a gun, right, Evie?
Yeah.
You have to be aware that the bullet goes up and comes down, right?
right.
You got to be aware of the downrange aspects of this whole thing.
It's
all right,
true.
so we don't know what the damage is at this point, and we know Iran has been specifically targeting military bases. I've seen exactly 0 pictures so far, 0 videos of that. So we have to believe either Iran's hit some and been effective, or it's completely missed entirely, and Israel's decided just not to show us that and crow about it. So I know where I fall on what's most likely in that particular story. As well, Israelis are now completely blocked from leaving.
Close the borders. Mm-hmm. They said, we will not allow Israelis to travel abroad in the near future, according to the Israeli Transport Minister, Miri Ragev.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, it's a small country. People serve in the reserves or the military. Mm-hmm. And so I think they're just saying, hey, we might need all hands on deck here. So you can't leave. Right. Okay. A little awkward, though, because when Bibi decided to launch all the attacks against Iran, apparently he jetted out of there.
He left.
Yeah, he went to Cyprus for the night. Safer that way. He's important, you understand.
Oh, yeah.
He's important.
We should at all costs protect him, of course.
All right. So that's what's going on. Now I think Trump, this strikes me as just a little unhinged here, Evie, because the unconditional surrender, this isn't very diplomatic, right?
Mm-hmm. Unconditional surrender to Israel? I mean, yeah.
Unconditional surrender to who? That's a good question, actually. To whom?
I mean, how does he have a right to ask for their unconditional surrender?
Well, an unconditional surrender is something you ask when an adversary has been so hopelessly defeated they have 0 other options left. Unconditional means I have no conditions.
Right.
No conditions, like, hey, can you just stop dropping bombs on us? Like, no conditions. Like with no conditions, when you surrender, the other side might say, okay, well, we're just going to keep bombing you, but you can't do anything because you've surrendered.
Right.
So a condition might be, okay, we both lay our arms down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Unconditional surrender is not something you call for 6 days into the war. It's just diplomatically, this is retarded.
Is that what he really meant by it? Or is he just flinging words around?
Well,
okay, let's find out. Unconditional surrender. And Trump, when did he tweet this? Yesterday?
I can't remember when. Okay. Yeah, a couple days ago, I think now.
We know exactly where the so-called, quote, supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out or kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for attention to this matter. Who is that addressed to?
Well, so this gets more dire because remember a little while ago in Ukraine, right? We NATO, United States, have been providing all kinds of targeting information, plus the missile systems, plus the guidance, telemetry data, all of that, right?
Right.
Probably plus the strike target packages, which is like hit here, here, and here.
Right.
Here's
Right.
why, wink. You know, so we've been doing all of that, but it was a little while ago, right before Putin took the gloves off. We sent 40 plus Ukraine sent 40 plus drones exactly where Putin's helicopter was at that point in time in Kursk. So this was a targeted attempt to take Putin out. Now, normally in these things, I'm not saying we should have rules that say leaders are more important than the people, but normally trying to target a leader is not something we've done in the past. But now the gloves are off.
Well, we've done that as the U.S.
Well, we have, but
the CIA's done that.
You don't do that against an armed nuclear superpower, right?
Right.
If they did it to us, we would just go off our rockers, right? Absolutely off our rockers with anger, right? So I don't know why, I don't understand why they don't understand both sides of the story. Like if you speak human, when you say to somebody, hey, I'm going to kill you, the first thing I do, if you tell me I'm coming, I'm just going to kill you unless you do everything I want, unconditional surrender. I'm like, let's tangle it up, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna double down personally, but that's how I'm built. But that's how people are built. It just is. All right. So anyway, this just struck me as like ridiculously tone deaf and unacceptable, and not actually what you should be calling for at this stage.
Right. So
like they jumped the shark. They're right to, we're just going to bomb you right before these meetings.
Right.
We're going to kill a bunch of your people, a lot of your top people, and then we're going to immediately demand that you unconditionally surrender, or we're going to keep killing all of you.
Right.
Right. It's such red wedding. Listen,
it's
if
really
that's where we
bad.
are, diplomacy is completely broken down.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about, it seems like they're doing diplomacy in public with social media, but I don't know what to believe. Like Trump saying that, who is he saying that to? When he puts out a tweet like that, is that count as his actual legitimate communication with Iran? Like,
I think to him it does.
Like
tweeting on Truth Social.
Yeah, no, it's weird to me.
Diplomacy. And you know how it is, like when you have a really sensitive conversation to carry on with somebody, you typically, you don't do it by email or text because nuance gets lost.
That's right.
Like these are people involved. These are complicated issues. This is life and death. This is, and by the way, it's also saying, hey, Iran, we don't think you have any cards in this story to play. No cards. Right. They sit right off like the Strait of Hormuz. 25% of the world's daily oil passes through that choke point. And
we don't need oil.
Oh,
we got solar and wind.
If the Strait of Hormuz gets closed down, folks, I'm telling my subscribers, and run, do not walk. Buy everything you can because it is over at that point in time. Oil spikes, our super debt cycle comes to a crashing, halting end. Our complicated economy starts to break down, and that's when probably a lot of old grievances sort of bubble up, and people say, we don't really want to do a lot of trading with y'all anymore. While you go crazy over there, turning boys into girls, girls into boys, and basically operating like a death cult,
injecting yourselves with poison.
Yeah, the jabs, all of that stuff. Like it's gross. It's